So what I'd like you to do is define 2 projects that feel equally important to you right now. So maybe you're saying, okay, two things that feel important to me. Like in my industry might be, do I start a book or do I start a blog? Right? It's like I get that question all the time. Which one first, Brendan? The answer is it doesn't really matter. There's no finite answer to that. It's up to you. But let me give you a point system for figuring that out. Okay? I'm just going to give you 4 different criteria. So if you would just do me a favor, pull out your piece of paper and write on one side something you're thinking of doing, and on the other side something you're thinking of doing. And these are things you're just trying, you're like they're competing. I don't know which one to do, or which one to give the most time to, or which one will be the most value. Okay, so try to think of something like that, those 2 competing interests or competing values, competing opportunities. And all I'm going to do is give you 4 categories, and you're going to rank them on a scale of 1 to 5. Okay, 1 to 5. Here we go on that scale. The first factor I want you to measure and give yourself 5 points on is what we call being goals. Now, a being goal means this is something that you feel like if you do it, it will develop character in your life, and it will, in other words, it makes you a better person, and it also aligns with your self-expression, what's unique to you, and also it gives you a sense of satisfaction, right? So all I can say is by doing, like, this is more me. That's kind of how you think about it. This is more me and will feel more satisfying if I do it. Now, both of them might get 5 points. Or maybe one gets 5, one gets 4. I don't know what it is for you. But it's the one that says, this aligns with my goals for being. Like what I want of me and life and how I want to feel and what I want to express and what's unique to me. Does one rate higher than the other? It's okay if they both rate the same, but it's likely one rates a little higher than the other. Next is what we call our connection goals. This is our connection in terms of relationship to the world, to others. Like, is one better for your relationships? Does one bring you closer to people? Okay, is one better for your relationships, or does one bring you closer to people? That's our connection goals, right? Our human relating goals. Does one help you connect or come closer to people? Again, that's a scale of 1 to 5, right? So if you think about it, we're at 10 possible points right now in each category, right? This one could have 10 points because you've got 5 points for being and 5 points for connecting. This other one, that could also have 10 points, 5 points for being, 5 points for connecting. We're just adding them up. The next one is creating or giving goals. To me, it's the same thing. Giving or contribution is the same to me as creating. It literally means the same. I don't differentiate them because in order to give something, you have to creatively express yourself. In order to contribute something tangible, you have to create the PowerPoint, create the book, create the message, create the movement, whatever. You're creating something that contributes or gives to the world, right? So what scores high on your creating or giving or contributing goals? Okay, 1 to 5. And 1 means not at all, by the way. 5 means a lot. I'm assuming you knew that. Okay. Last piece. Growing goals. Which one of these things will genuinely stretch you? It's like outside of your current ability, maybe more than the other one. Okay, it's difficult. It will bring struggle. It will force you to develop new competency, meaning knowledge, skill, ability, confidence. Okay, which one's going to really push you? Okay, so you take all those and you add them up. And whichever one scores higher is the one that's going to give you what psychologists would call that intrinsic sense of meaning, right? It's gonna be that thing that just it feels right for you to do, and you should focus on that because your previous measure, right? Your payoffs. This is really about time, external benefits. This one so much is about more intrinsic meaning than just, because payoffs can be very external, extrinsic rewards, intrinsic rewards. You follow? So that's why I'm having you measure both. Time, this is timeless. These things are important, right? So I really want you to think through these competing interests and just rate them, 1 to 5. And I will bet if you do that, one of those things ends up more important than the other. Now the question is, well, what if one of these things is more important than the other, but the payoff seems better on the other one in terms of timing? Well, it just depends. I knock off a lot of things that score. Guess what? If something scores low on this thing, guess what? If it scores low on this thing, I do this. If it scores low on this, it's a non-essential. Get rid of it. I shouldn't even be considering where it might fit in terms of payoffs because it's just not necessary. Get rid of that thing. Just get rid of it. You'll be super happy. Okay, last piece. Here we go, and then I'll get to some of you guys' questions. And that is the simplest way that I know how to explain how to deal with competing interests. Draw boxes on a page. In other words, calendar it out. A lot of people say, Brendan, you don't understand. I can't juggle all these things. I say, you really shouldn't. Do this one first. Do that one second. Well, Brendan, I don't have the benefit of doing that. I go, great. Do this one from, let's say, 2 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and do this one from 4 to 5 in the afternoon. We can manage a lot of things if we'll block out the time for them. We just have to be conscious of where that time is happening, right? So every single week, what I do is I say, okay, what are my main interests in my life or in my week, as an example, or what are my major projects? And then my question is, after I've gone through this simple framework, right, very simple framework, here. So here's what I want you to do. Very simple. Every Sunday or every Monday morning, you're going to put this into a practice. It's going to be very simple for you. First, you're going to look at your calendar for the week and say, what can I pull out? What am I not going to do? Also identify your distractions. Stop doing them. It's time, Travis, they should have stopped that stuff a long time ago. Time to stop that stuff. Get rid of it. That will benefit you. Number 2, look at your weekly calendar and say, is there anything here that's not, and I'm clear about the payoff? Are there any of these projects that I haven't defined what the payoff is going to be that maybe I shouldn't do or I should move off of time based on short versus long term? Then, are there any projects here that I'm just not vibing with that I could move till later because one scores higher, so I'm going to focus on that now because it's going to be more meaningful to me. And then whatever is left, that's where you're going to draw out boxes and say, okay, now an hourly sort of approach or a daily approach, how would I focus on them? Basically what I do is I have this big sheet of paper here, and what I do is I always draw 3 sets of boxes. The first set of boxes are monthly boxes, right? When you have monthly boxes, that means there's 12 boxes. And what I do is I take all my projects and I say, out of all these projects I want to do this year, which one goes in which box, right? Do these have to happen in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, or quarter 4? Then I'm going to break it down to that weekly level. And I say, okay, at a weekly level, which one of these projects am I going to focus on this week? And sometimes during a given month, which I focus on the first of each month, look at my upcoming month, I say, what are the projects that go in this month? And which are the ones now that I know on payoff or based on where I'm at in my life, can I move to a different box, a different month? So now I got weekly or monthly. Then I go down to weekly, and that's a 7 box, Monday through Friday. There's 7 boxes, and I just go, okay, I see the projects are on here. Are these still right? And I move them around again. And then everything else is just daily planning. That's my 1-page productivity sheet where I go, what has to happen today? And that's how I'm so clear about what's happening. I'm thinking about a yearly basis on my major projects. I'm thinking about a monthly. I'm thinking about a weekly. I'm thinking about a daily. I know that sounds so basic, but what happens is most people just wake up and they do their 9 to 5. They wake up, they commute, they go to the office, and they go, what should I do today? They look on their calendar and they go, I guess I have to do that. And they're not questioning, is this activity essential? They're not challenging themselves. Can I move these projects around right now in a better way? They're not thinking, okay, I got 3 projects I have to do right now, so I need to make sure I got 3 hours on my schedule today. Project 1 gets that hour, Project 2 gets that hour, Project 3 gets that hour. So we're all moving forward the competing interests at once. Because here's what you do. If you're by random, which is most people what they are, they're living so randomly. They're like, okay, today I'll do this. And then tomorrow they show up and go, oh, I didn't do these things I was supposed to do. And then they blame everyone else. Well, my family was busy. No. Your inability to strategize, prioritize, and schedule is the issue. It's never your family's fault. Don't ever blame your family. Don't ever blame the news. Don't ever blame traffic. Don't blame anything or anyone for what is on your plate. Because you and I could both, every one of us, all of us, can walk away. Never forget that. You can walk away. Every person watching, you can walk away from your business. You can walk away from your career. You can walk away from your family. I'm not saying do any of that. I'm just saying let's not ever fool ourselves in thinking we have to do anything. We choose. And we have to choose what kind of people we want to be, what kind of relationships we want to create, what legacies we want to leave through our works and our contributions. But don't ever blame anybody for, oh, I'm so overwhelmed because of that person. No. Strategize. Prioritize. Schedule. Consider the things we talked about today. I don't pretend any of it's easy, and I hope that didn't come across today. I'm just trying to give you some maybe new thinking tools, some new frameworks to consider, because if you'll do that, I think you'll start to find you'll get better at it. I'm not perfect at it. I'll tell you all the time, I'm like, hey, there's plenty of times in my day or my life, I'm a hot mess. I bet you are too. It's not about perfection. It's not about having every day completely line up. It's just about winning more battles. And you'll do that the more consciously you think about it. Honestly, for most people, if all they did is on the first of the month, they said, what should I really focus on this month? And they clarified the major projects they should focus on. And then on every Monday morning, they sat down, or every Sunday night, they sat down and they said, okay, what really needs my attention and energy right now? Where are the payoffs going to be? And they reorganized their schedule each week to better align with that, they'd win. But because most people have no practice at all, they really struggle. So now maybe you're already a master organizer and this was just all, reminders for you. Or maybe some of these things will change your life. I don't know. But I do believe if you can master that meta skill of getting rid of the non-essentials and learn to find out what is the essential, because they rank high on that point system I gave you. And the payoffs, you've really clarified why you are doing what you are doing. Like, why are you doing it? What's the payoff here? If you're clear on those things, you're going to get better at life. With that, my friends, I'm going to hop back in. And so go ahead and post your questions. I hope you're enjoying this. Give me a shout out if you are. And I'm going to do some of your questions right now. Okay. So I want to thank you, a bunch of you all, again, for being on here live with us. And I'm going to scroll back through so I get some more questions from you. Earlier questions here. Go. Okay. Holy mackerel. You guys have been yammering on here. Okay. Okay, so thank you. I see Sherry's coming to our live High Performance Academy. I hope to see some of you at our live High Performance Academy as well. Clear your calendars if you haven't. Stoked to have you guys here. Really appreciate you being here. What's up, Nancy from Utah? I'm scrolling back down. Nancy asks, will this be rebroadcast at a later date? All our live casts you can always find for our personal development one here, our Success Accelerator, in the Success Accelerator course you have or your High Performance Academy course. Depending on when you signed up, that's all. Let's see, am I going to be in Utah anytime soon? I'm not. I'm not traveling except for our events. I hope that helps. Let's see. I need your questions. I'm scrolling down. We got lots of sign-ons here. Okay. Actually, you guys are, what I love reading the comments is how many people we have from around the world. We've got Sydney, we've got New Zealand, we've got Belgium, we've got Rocky Mountains. I know I'm strolling, I'm just catching up on the comments you guys have been through there. I just don't want to miss anything that you might have had, so I apologize if I did. And if you don't have a ton of questions, I'll skip by and cover a couple other things I wanted to cover, but want to give you guys time to questions. What advice would you give in prioritizing the reestablishment of HPA routines as well as finding a new network, please. And Vince, great question. He just moved to a new city, left behind some friends, wants to know how I would prioritize, high performance principles and practices, routines, as well as finding a new network. Vince, I would say right off the bat, a new city is the greatest time to establish new habits. So right off the bat, get your morning routine in a really good place. Get your health routine in a new place. I would say one of the easiest ways to meet new people is to get in group exercise classes. Take a spin class, say hey to people there. Take a yoga class, say hey to people. Meet people in healthy environments. I know you can do it at a bar too, but I say you're going to meet more interesting and fascinating people usually at doing something that's healthy. Some bug going around here. We are in the woods, for Pete's sake. I hope that helps. I think you can do both. Establishing better routines for yourself and at the same time meeting a network. I think those aren't mutually exclusive. Focus on doing both at the same time. Teresa says, how do I help family and friends understand a change in my priorities? Looks like Alzheimer's has taken hold, and I'm more determined than ever to get my books and work out there, but I need help, not only in the functional side of things, but helping them understand the shift in priorities. That's a great question, Teresa. I'm sorry to hear about the Alzheimer's. I'm sure you're doing all you can for that. Please make sure you're working with a neurologist in that process. Don't let that happen without some assistance. To your question, though, everybody watching, if something changed in your life, and it's going to take more time than you imagine, or it's going to compromise your ability to serve or be or lead or just be with your family, explicit communication. Always. The number one reason most people get in major issues of their life is they communicate and ask for help too late. So early, explicit communication. Just say it. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to have to make some adjustments in my priorities. It's going to be hard on all of us, but I have to do it because of this reason. And I say that all the time. I mean, I'm constantly feeling like I'm apologizing to family and friends, and I don't feel bad, but I have to make the apology. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to change this up. I'm going to miss this meeting. I have to do this. I have to do that. I'm always doing that. And it doesn't, people, who matter in your life are going to recognize that's just life. And they have the same situation happen to them too. So just be really explicit about it, communicate it early, because if you don't, what ends up happening is people become bitter later. And then you have to explain yourself, well, I was doing it because of these reasons, and then it's very difficult, right? Very difficult. I hope that helps. I know that's a very difficult situation, so please make sure you're working with a neurologist if you're suffering from that situation. Kathy says, Brendan, any tips on dealing with what happens when multiple priorities start to lead to workaholism? Great question. Workaholism is not a thing. We want it to be a thing. It's not a thing. Workaholism means that we have lost harmony and balance with our life. That's what it means. I would like to tell people it's not something, it's something that we're not doing. What I mean by that is if you're working all the time at the expense of your health, your relationships, and your own personal sense of satisfaction, well-being, joy in the process, that's just self-infliction of pain because you're not prioritizing well. And what I tell people all the time who are those, and I get it, type A achiever, driven all the time, know you can make a big difference, know you can make an impact, or your back's against the wall and you have to, so you work and you do the grind and you hustle. Sometimes that's just part of life, and people need to know that's your priority. They just need to know. Just like if you're sick, you have to be early and explicit. Sometimes you have to do that. For example, my wife and I said this year, we're both building, I've built a separate business this year, and she's building a separate business. And I'm still doing everything I'm doing, but I started growth.com, if you guys didn't hear about all this. So I've started growth.com, and that's a whole new business with dozens of new employees that I built, and I'm scaling to bring personal development to the world. That's not my stuff, other people's stuff. And that work is going on. My wife has opened up more fitness work in what she does. And we knew this year, we said, you know what, this year is going to be real. We're going to crank. So here's what we're going to do. In order to ensure that we don't get stuck in the grind, in advance, we're going to schedule these vacations. Every 90 days, boom, block. Time away for just the two of us. And in the meantime, We allow each other to crank and grind and hustle and go, and our family's cool with it because everyone knows it's just like, hey, right now, this particular year is going to be insane, and we allow ourselves to work during that time because we've prioritized and we've let everybody else know that's what's happening right now. It won't last forever. It's this year of building these separate things. Now, you could say, well, Brennan, I've been building for 5 years and I haven't taken a breath. That's your fault. You got to build in the recovery time. Every athlete knows that, right? That's the nice thing about working with world-class athletes is they're focused as much on the recovery as on the training. And you have to as well. Give yourself, if you're going to be a workaholic, if that's your tag, and I'm going to work that hard, then a workaholic, if they're a really workaholic, they're good at scheduling. So schedule recovery time. Schedule that meditation. Schedule that that yoga class, that health class. Because here's what the thing is. Workaholics, you ask, why are you working so hard? Because I need to get stuff done. Oh, well, let me help you get more done by taking better care of yourself. And now, things come back into harmony. I hope that serves. Let's see. This was I appreciate that. Great questions. These are actually, those are very helpful. I hope that's not happening. Let me know if you have any more questions as I scroll down. I appreciate you being here. Hey, Denise, I'm glad you're in here too. Okay, I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions, y'all. So here we go. What will the new Oprah course be about? Will it continue off where your next bold move left off, or is it standalone? Good question, Vince. This is a separate course. It's almost like, actually, the way I think about it, it's almost a prequel to your next bold move. Your next bold move was very, how do you like jump in and make your next big bold move? So how do you clarify what that's going to be? How do you be productive and achieve and make magic happen, right? So that you can make your next bold move. This is almost before that. It's like, how do you reignite your life? You know, because some people weren't ready to make a big bold move. They're stuck in old patterns. Some people aren't ready to make their big bold move. They're lacking confidence. They're trapped in negativity, and they're just in a bad emotional place, so they're not ready to make big moves. So this is going to help people just deal with more emotional stuff to get ready for the next big bold move. Thanks for asking. Great question. And I'm really, really excited about that. Yeah, draw boxes. I'm telling you, Daniel, give it a shot. Everybody draw those boxes out. Sahar asks, do you think we should start with the scoring in step 3 to get rid of the non-essentials to save time and energy? Sure, absolutely. If that's the way you're going to, whatever way it takes for you to identify non-essentials, I think you don't have to score a bigger picture. I think most people, and by the way, I do, yes, do that. On top of that, I would say that non-essentials, people know what they are. People know where they're blowing off time, that they don't need to blow off time. And if they just look at their daily behavior and their weekly schedule, it's pretty easy. Like most executives I work with, when I am advising or consulting or just chatting at a networking event, I just tell them immediately, I'm like, you should probably cut out at least 60% of your meetings. And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm talking a high level, Fortune 100 executives. I'm like, you should cut out half your meetings. Because we believe we have to have meetings, and we don't usually have to. We believe we have to do all these things, and they're just they're not essential to moving the needle forward. They're not essential to anything that we sense in meaning. We just think we should. And a lot of things we think we should. I just spent time with at a barbecue with some friends, and one of my buddy's wives was telling me how she's involved in all these community organizations. And she feels overwhelmed and stressed and exhausted all the time, and not time. She said, I have no time to focus on myself. I said, well, I don't have time to focus on myself. And she blamed all these meetings and all these events. And I said, you don't have time to focus on yourself because you just haven't chosen to focus on yourself. You haven't given yourself permission. You don't have to be on any of these things. Oh, no, I have to be on my son's school soccer thing, and I have to be on all these things. She was like in 7 or 8 different groups. And I was like, you don't have to be in any of those. And she had fallen into a place where she was in pretty poor health. I said, if you actually cared about your children, you'd stop all of those. And she looked at me and goes, what? I go, because your children don't want to see you wiped out all the time. You're going to be more compassionate, more fun, more playful with your kids if you're not wiped out all the time. get rid of those things and focus on the kids. And it was just like a mind-blowing thing to her because she really felt like she had to be on those, but she just never realized those weren't essential. What's essential in your child's life is you, present, energized, positive, focused, imparting good life lessons. All the other stuff is the architecture of society making you feel obligated. You have to question those things. I won't go on a soapbox too long on that one. Let's see, Daniel asks, how far ahead are you mapping out your monthly, weekly, daily calendar system? I do it at the beginning of the year, then the beginning of each month, and then the beginning of each week. So I'm revisiting all the time. I mean, I'm very consistent about it, especially because I'm always evaluating new opportunities, you know, and all those evaluative opportunities need to be set in the context of what I've already decided. It's just like a Fortune, 50 company. When, let's say a retailer, like Target. Target and all major retailers do things based on basically what they call seasonality, right? Based on their seasons. And they're usually, scheduled out 1 to 3 years of seasons in advance. And they have themes for those seasons. They have financial goals for those seasons. They have merchandising for those seasons. And what they're doing is when some new hot item comes up that they could have in the store or could do a promotion behind, they're comparing it against what that pre-existing plan is. And I think either most people don't have a pre-existing plan, or when something new comes up, they just chase it like a squirrel without thinking, how does it impact my previous existing plan? And that's why they get in trouble so much, okay? Let's see, this is so good. Okay, Duck asks, good, welcome back, by the way, my friend. My goal over the long term is to reach mastery as an instructor and innovator in my field. Could you please give me some ideas on how to reach mastery? Yes, very, very simple. You need to read 1 to 3 books every week in your field. Whatever that is, you need to get up to 1 to 3 books every week. If that sounds crazy, go look what Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have done in their lives, because they read hours every day. And they relate that to being some of the most, that's why they became successful. You need to read a lot to gain proficiency and mastery in anything. So read or listen to audios, whatever your style is, 1 to 3 books a week. Just start, just make that decision. I'm on my this is my 20th year of a book a week. And I've never missed, ever. Every week, at least 1 book a week. Because I wanted to be good at psychology, at leadership, at self-help, at business. So I've read a book a week on all those, every single week. I've never missed. So A, it starts with reading. Reading is leading. You have to do it. So start with reading. B, contribute something to that field. Meaning, get consistent about creating something. Write your ideas. Write an article or a blog post or do a podcast on it once a week. It doesn't have to be long. It can take you 20 minutes to do, 10 minutes. Just create something in that field every week, even if you never publish it, even if it's just for your journal. But in the act of creation, we discover our voice. So start creating every single week. And then third, get mentors. Get around people who are already succeeding. Go to their seminars. You're already here, obviously, learning some things. That will serve you. Get mentors and a community who are on that same path. Okay, y'all, I know I went a little over today. I apologize, but I'm so thankful that you're here. As always, if you're joining with us live, this will be posted in your members area, as have all the last monthly live webcasts. If you haven't checked them out and you're in the Success Accelerator or High Performance Academy, go have a look. They're all there waiting for your beautiful face to watch and to learn and to acquire. Every single month, I'm trying to bring a new framework to you. Every single month, I'm trying to get to your questions. Every single month, I'm appreciative of you being here. Stay on your own path to personal development mastery by joining us again next month live. I look forward to seeing you there. I look forward to seeing so many of you at High Performance Academy coming up. Until then, go out there every single day of your life. Live fully, love openly, make your difference today. See y'all later.